My father always said family was everything. But when he died, I learned our family was built on a lie. And my perfect sister knew the truth the whole time. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let me know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Alara. For my whole life, I lived in someone else's shadow. My older sister, Diana. Diana was perfect. She was a lawyer. She never made mistakes. My mother, Evelyn, adored her. She called Diana her real achievement. My father was different. He was my friend. He was quiet like me. He loved my paintings. He made me feel seen. Then he died. It was sudden. A heart attack. My whole world went dark. Diana took charge, of course. She planned the funeral. She spoke to the lawyers. I was too sad to do anything but cry. A week after the funeral, we all went to the lawyer's office to hear the will. My mother sat straight and proud next to Diana. I sat alone. The lawyer read the words. And with each sentence, I felt smaller. My father left everything to Diana. The family business. The investment money. The big house we grew up in. The will said Diana had a duty to provide for the family's stability. Then the lawyer read my name. To my daughter Alara, he said, I leave my personal effects from the attic study and the contents of the trust fund established in 2010. That was it. Some old boxes and a little bit of money. I felt like I had been slapped. My own father cut me out. He chose Diana, just like everyone else always did. Diana looked at me. She gave me a small, sorry smile. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a winner looking at the loser. I'll make sure you're okay, Alara, she said. Her voice was sweet, but her eyes were cold. My mother nodded. Your father knew Diana would make the smart choices. She understands these things. I left the office. I felt numb. I went back to my father's house, no, Diana's house now. I walked up to the attic. It was the only thing I had left of him. The attic was dusty and full of memories. There were boxes of old books, my childhood drawings, his records. I cried for a long time, sitting on the dusty floor. I felt betrayed by my own dead father. Then I saw it. A small, wooden chest under a table. It had a lock on it. I remembered something. My father once told me, if you ever lose your way, my favorite story will guide you. His favorite book was an old, thick novel about knights. I found the book in a box. I opened it. A small, brass key fell out into my lap. My hand shook. I took the key and put it in the lock of the chest. It turned. I lifted the heavy lid. Inside, there was no treasure. Just papers. Old papers. I saw my parents' marriage certificate. I saw old birthday cards I made for him. And then I saw 2 smaller envelopes sealed shut. They were from a DNA testing company. The dates on them were from 15 years ago. The names were written on the front in my father's handwriting. One said Alara. The other said Diana. My heart beat very fast. Why did my father have secret DNA tests? I opened the one with my name first. The paper inside was simple. It was a result for a paternity test. It said the probability of paternity was 99.9%. I was his daughter. A small relief washed over me. Then I opened Diana's. I read the words. Then I read them again. The paper said the probability of paternity was 0%. Excluded. 0%. Diana was not my father's daughter. The world tilted. I could not breathe. I dropped the papers. Behind them, in the chest, was a folded note. I opened it. It was my father's writing. My dearest Alara, I have carried this shame for so long. I could never bring myself to face what this means. The truth is a monster I am too weak to fight. Forgive me, my darling girl. I was a coward. Please, protect yourself from the lies. They are more dangerous than you know. Under the note was one more paper. A receipt. It was from a private investigator. The subject of the investigation was listed: Evelyn Reed and Robert Reed. Robert was my father's brother. My Uncle Robert. I sat in the cold, dusty attic, holding the proof. The pieces crashed together in my mind. My mother and my uncle had an affair. Diana was their child. My father knew. He knew for years, and he never told anyone. Then a worse thought hit me. The will. Diana got everything. Diana, who was not his daughter. Did he really choose her? Or did something else happen? I thought of Diana's cold, knowing smile at the lawyer's office. She did not look surprised by the will. She looked like she had won a game. A terrible, dark idea started to grow in my heart. What if Diana knew the truth too? What if she had the secret and she used it to get what she wanted? I was not just my father's forgotten daughter anymore. I was the one holding a secret that could break my family into pieces. And I knew right then that my perfect sister was not just my rival. She was my enemy. And I had just found my weapon. The truth was a poison. I felt it moving through my body. It made me cold. I sat in the attic for a long time, holding the papers that broke my family. I was not sad anymore. I was angry. A quiet, deep anger that made my hands stop shaking. I had to know everything. If my father was a coward, I would be brave. My first move was my mother. I went downstairs and found her in the living room, looking at old photos. I put the DNA test on the table in front of her. I did not say a word. She looked at it. Her face, always so perfect and calm, fell apart. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. "Dad's attic," I said. My voice was flat. He knew. For 15 years, he knew Diana wasn't his. Was it Uncle Robert? My mother crumpled into the chair. She did not cry. She just looked old and scared. It was a mistake. One time. A long time ago. Your father, he forgave me. We never spoke of it again. But Diana knows, I said. It wasn't a question. My mother looked at the floor. She found the test. She was 16. She came to me screaming. Then, she went to your father. She was so angry. But after a while, she became calm. Too calm. My mother looked at me, her eyes full of a new fear. She started spending time with Robert, calling him for advice. Your father didn't like it, but what could he say? She knew his secret. My blood turned to ice. So, Diana knew. For over half her life, she knew she was the product of a shameful affair. And instead of being hurt, she used it. She bonded with her real father and used the secret to control the man who raised her. I needed proof. I went to the family doctor's office. I said I was Diana, needing old records for a legal form. I knew Diana's birthday, her social security number. The nurse gave me a copy. There, in the medical history, was her blood type. I compared it to my father's in an old donor card I found. It was impossible for her to be his daughter. I had my first piece of solid proof. Next, I needed to hear it from Diana herself. I went to her, playing my old part. I was Alara, the heartbroken, weak little sister. I cried. I told her I was lost without Dad and confused about the will. How did you and Dad get so close at the end? I asked, sniffling. I feel like he chose you because he loved you more. Diana sighed, a sound full of fake pity. She put a hand on mine. Alara, some relationships are complicated. Dad and I had an understanding. He knew I was strong enough to handle the complicated truths in this family. Truths that others, she said, looking right at me, are too fragile to carry. My phone was in my pocket, recording every word. What truths? I asked, making my eyes wide and innocent. She patted my hand and pulled away, a smug little smile on her lips. It's better you don't know. Just trust that I'm handling everything. For the family's good. It wasn't a full confession, but it was enough. It showed her manipulation, her sense of secret power. The final piece came from my uncle. I knew Diana saw him as her real father. I hacked into her old email account. The password was our childhood pet's name, something sentimental she'd never change. I searched for Robert's name. And I found them. The emails. They were not love letters. They were business letters. Plans. From 5 years ago, subject line, long-term stability. In them, Diana wrote, "The old man is sentimental about Alara, but his guilt about me is stronger. I can steer the estate planning. The key is the family stability clause. He'll agree to it to keep the peace." Robert wrote back, "Ensure the assets are consolidated. We cannot have them split. Your mother is on board to support you as the logical heir." I read them over and over. My mother was on board. She knew about the plan to steal my inheritance. My own mother. The emails laid out a cold, calculated plot. They didn't love each other. They were partners in a crime. They saw my father's guilt and my mother's shame as tools. And they saw me as an obstacle to be moved out of the way. I printed every single email. The stack of paper felt heavy. This was no longer just about a secret. It was about conspiracy. It was fraud. I had it all now. The DNA test. The medical record. The recorded conversation where Diana hinted at her secret power. And the emails that proved she and Robert conspired to influence my father's will. I looked at the evidence spread on my floor. I felt a terrible calm. Diana thought she was the smartest person in the room. She thought she had won. But I had just turned her own game against her. She spent years collecting secrets to build her power. I spent 3 weeks collecting proof to burn it all down. I picked up the phone. I called the family lawyer. I said, "We need a new family meeting. About the will. Everyone needs to be there. Especially Diana and Uncle Robert." I hung up. The trap was set. My sister was about to walk into a room where she believed she was the queen. She didn't know I was waiting there, not as her poor little sister, but as the woman who held the truth. And I was ready to speak. The day of the meeting arrived. I wore a simple black dress. I looked calm, but my heart was a drum. In my bag, I had a folder. Inside that folder was the end of my sister's perfect life. We all met in the same lawyer's office where we heard the will. Diana sat at the head of the table. Uncle Robert was next to her. My mother sat in the corner, not looking at anyone. She knew why I had called this meeting. The family lawyer, Mr. Jenkins, looked confused. "Alara, you asked for this meeting. What is this about?" Diana smiled her cool smile. "Yes, Alara. We're all very busy. Is this about needing more money from your trust fund?" I ignored her. I looked at Mr. Jenkins. "It's about the will," I said. My voice was clear and did not shake. My father's will was created by fraud. The room went very quiet. Diana's smile vanished. "Don't be ridiculous," Uncle Robert said, but he looked nervous. I opened my folder. I took out the first paper. I slid it down the table to Mr. Jenkins. "This is a DNA test from 15 years ago. It shows a 0% chance that my father was Diana's biological father." Diana's face went white. Robert stood up. "This is a lie. It's in my father's handwriting," I said calmly. I took out the second paper. "This is a blood type record from our doctor. It proves the same thing medically. Diana is not my father's daughter. Her father is sitting right there." I looked at Robert. The air was sucked out of the room. My mother began to cry softly. "My father knew," I continued. "And Diana knew. She found out when she was 16. And she used that secret." I took out my phone. I played the recording. Diana's voice filled the silent room. "Dad and I had an understanding. He knew I was strong enough to handle the complicated truths in this family. Truths that others are too fragile to carry." Diana looked like she had been slapped. "You recorded me? You little." "But that's not all," I said, talking over her. I took out the final papers. The emails. I gave them to Mr. Jenkins. "These are emails between Diana and Robert. They planned it. They talk about using my father's guilt. They talk about the family stability clause in the will. My mother knew about it too." Mr. Jenkins read the emails. His face grew serious. He looked at Diana and Robert with disgust. "This is evidence of conspiracy and undue influence. This will is no good. We can take this to court and it will be thrown out." Diana finally broke. Her perfect mask shattered into rage. "He was weak. He gave me everything because he felt guilty for not being my real father. I earned that money by dealing with his shame for years." "No," I said, standing up. I was taller than her now in every way. "You stole it. You are a thief. You stole my father's peace. You stole my inheritance. You are not my sister. You are a stranger who lied to me my whole life." I turned to Mr. Jenkins. "I want to contest the will. I want my fair share of my father's estate. The real one." "It will be done," Mr. Jenkins said. I looked at my mother. She could not look at me. I looked at Robert. He was a small, ashamed man. I saved my last words for Diana. "You can keep the money you fought for with lies," I told her. "You will need it. Because you have no family now. No sister. No mother who respects you. No father who loves you. You are alone with your perfect, empty life. That is your real inheritance. I picked up my bag. I walked out of the room. I did not look back. I heard Diana screaming at Robert, at my mother, at the lawyer. It was the sound of her kingdom falling. The legal fight took months, but it was easy. With the evidence, Diana had no case. The will was thrown out. The estate was split fairly. I got my half. But the real victory was not the money. The real victory was the silence. The peace. I used my money to buy a small studio with big windows for painting. One day, I was hanging a painting one my father had loved. The sun was warm on my face. My phone buzzed. It was a message from a cousin. It said, "Did you hear? Diana and Robert started a business together. It failed. They lost everything. They blame each other. They're not speaking." I read the message. I felt nothing. No joy. No sadness. They were just two people I used to know. I put my phone down. I looked at my painting, at my sunny room, at my life. It was my life. Built on truth, not lies. I was free. I learned that the best revenge is not taking something from someone. It is taking back your own life. And building something beautiful they can never touch. Thanks for listening to the end of my story. If you believe in finding the truth and building a new life from the pieces, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.